Hey, welcome everybody. This is Bob Louthan, host of the VeteranCrowd Spotlight, and this is the Network Live. Been trying to come to you once a week on Mondays to talk about selling or your veteran-led business, or maybe buying your veteran-led business. And so, welcome to the program today. I thought before I got into some of the meat of the discussion, I'd talk a little bit about Memorial Day and there's a lot of confusion out there in the community, the non-veteran community, about what Memorial Day is. For many people, it's just an opportunity to picnic and kick off the summer. But Memorial Day has a long and important history in the United States. And of course, it is that day when we set aside and take a moment to remember and thank those individuals who gave their life in service of this country. And in fact, on Monday, May the 31st at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the tradition is that we would be observing at that point in time memories of those people that had served our country and made the ultimate sacrifice. I did a little bit of studying about Memorial Day in advance of this because I really didn't know how it came to be, and found some surprising little tidbits. Of course, it started after the Civil War, and the most early observance was in May of 1866. Of course, at that point in time, it was just the country was still recovering from the Civil War, and we had lost more lives in that war than in any other conflict before or since. It was actually called Decoration Day at that point in time. It's kind of an interesting little story about it. Sort of recognized Northern Civil War veterans at first, and it was traditionally held on May the 30th. Another little interesting fact is that actually the birthplace of Memorial Day is a little town in New York called Waterloo, New York. It wasn't until 1971 that Memorial Day moved to the first Monday in May. And so now you get to have a 3-day weekend on Memorial Day every year. So that's a little bit of the history of Memorial Day. Obviously, we honor all of those veterans from World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Desert Storm, and all the post 9/11 veterans as well. So I'd encourage everybody to remember that this Memorial Day when you are kicking off your weekend and your summer. And I wish all of you the very best for Memorial Day. One of the purposes of this program, good morning, Mike Swarting. One of the purposes of this program is to talk about buying or selling your business, and I've been trying to drop little tidbits. We're trying to put together a 5-part program for veterans who own a business who think they want to sell it someday. And I've been working hard on figuring out how to do the little bits of it. We've talked about timing. I've talked a little bit about your team. I've talked about, valuations and reality in previous excerpts here. We're going to get into some real detail. When you're negotiating the terms of the sale of a business, we're going to get into the deal terms, what's included in a letter of intent, what kind of experts you need to hire, how you need to manage the negotiation, how you need to manage confidentiality. And, I thought I'd talk about one little complicated concept today that we often run into, which is working capital targets. I spend a lot of time in deals and have a lot of experience talking about the working capital target. So here's a little snippet on that. Working capital is loosely defined, or as your current assets minus your current liabilities. Current assets in a business are typically cash, inventories, and receivables, and the current liabilities are typically your trade debt. And so you take one minus the other, and you understand what the working capital is. A business needs to have positive working capital. If it has negative working capital, it's got serious issues. But that's the lifeblood of the business. Those money tends to move around between those pockets. And the way that it moves around in those pockets in every business is very important. It allows you to continue to operate. But when you do a letter of intent, typically in an asset deal, there's going to be a working capital target. So what happens? In the letter of intent, we pick a date on the balance sheet and we say, okay, you have this much working capital as of this date. We set that stake in the ground and say we value the business based on a lot of things, but among them is this working capital. And typically the working capital for the purpose of a letter of intent is going to take out the cash and it's going to take out any current bank debt. So it's going to be inventory, receivables minus trade payables. Very important concept. We're going to establish what that is. And then we're going to adjust the purchase price of your business up or down after the closing based on how the working capital that is delivered at the closing might have shifted. This is a hard concept to understand. We're going to go into a lot of depth on it, but let me just say this. It's a very important piece of the puzzle because if you understand what this is, and then it makes it fair for both the buyer and the seller to close using this mechanism. It's a time-tested mechanism that makes it fair. Here's an example. An unscrupulous seller, if you didn't have this working capital adjustment, wouldn't pay his bills for the last 30 days leading up to the closing and could stick the buyer with a lot of unpaid bills. That's not fair. On the flip side, you could be expecting a big check to come in. You're the seller. You've sold some product. You're waiting on a big check, and it doesn't come in until the day after the closing. It hasn't been collected. Now you're giving more value potentially to the buyer. So this is a mechanism that buyers and sellers have worked out over time that adjusts for those things. And then you don't have to play games leading up to the date of the closing. You have 45 to 60 days after the closing to kind of settle this difference. And it allows deals to get done. It makes things comfortable. It facilitates a good transaction. If you'd like to learn more about selling your veteran-owned business, let us know. Reach out to us at info@VeteranCrowd.com. That's info@VeteranCrowd.com. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Just look for @VeteranCrowd. And of course, you can visit our website at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. If you've got questions, please let us know. I enjoy doing these things. Hope you guys have a great week and happy Memorial Day to all of you. And to those of you who lost loved ones or who knew folks that you served with this weekend, I'm going to be thinking about you and our colleagues who made the ultimate sacrifice in service of our country. Happy Memorial Day to everyone. Take care.